December 6th, 2025. 653 drones and 51 missiles launched in a single night. Not a training exercise, not a warning shot. The largest coordinated strike on Ukraine since the war began. Power plants shattered, railway hubs burning, apartment blocks in Kyiv, Dnipro, and Lviv reduced to rubble. 8 civilians wounded in the blasts. Entire neighborhoods plunged into darkness. And behind it all, peace talks that just collapsed. This is what happens when diplomacy dies. Let's rewind 72 hours before the strike. Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, U.S. envoys, sat across from Vladimir Putin in Moscow. Parallel meetings ran simultaneously in Miami. The goal was clear: broker some kind of arrangement that would end the fighting. The Kremlin's response? Blunt refusal. No compromise on the American peace proposal, Russian officials stated publicly. Ukraine's negotiators pushed for revisions. Kyiv wasn't willing to cede all of Donbass without conditions. Moscow demanded radical changes to any framework that didn't guarantee total control over occupied territories. Zero middle ground, zero flexibility. Within 48 hours of talks breaking down, Russian hardliners had their answer ready. 704 projectiles launched across Ukrainian airspace in one night. That's not retaliation. They are clearly giving a statement. Zelensky called the train station strike in Kyiv meaningless from a military point of view. He's right. Civilian infrastructure doesn't win wars, but it sends messages. And the message was unmistakable. Negotiations are over. What most coverage misses about this all is that Russia didn't launch this barrage because talks failed. Russia launched it because talks almost succeeded. The moment diplomacy shows cracks in Moscow's position, the response is overwhelming force. It's strategic theater designed to reset the negotiating table entirely. Think about the sequence. U.S. envoys meet Putin. Discussions happen. Ukraine indicates willingness to negotiate, but with conditions. Moscow realizes it can't get everything it wants through diplomacy. So it defaults to what it knows works: mass destruction. The attack targeted power plants specifically. Ukraine's energy grid, already degraded from 2 winters of strikes, took another devastating hit. The Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant temporarily lost external power. Do you think these are random targeting? Absolutely not. They want to force Ukraine into winter blackouts, make civilian life unbearable, push Kyiv's negotiators toward accepting whatever terms end the strikes. One Western diplomat said Russia is locked into an escalatory approach. If you don't know, that's diplomatic language for they'll keep BMing until Ukraine breaks. But wait, what about 653 drones and 51 missiles? Ukraine's air defense intercepted a significant portion. Exact numbers vary by source, but even conservative estimates put the interception rate around 60 to 70%. That still leaves over 200 projectiles hitting their targets. 200 explosions, 200 impact sites, 200 reasons why Ukraine's infrastructure continues degrading. And Russia can sustain this tempo. Iranian Shahed drones cost roughly $20,000 each. Russia has purchased thousands. They're expendable, mass-produced, designed specifically for overwhelming air defenses through sheer volume. Ukraine's interception costs are exponentially higher. Every Patriot missile costs over $3 million. Every NASAMS interceptor costs over $1 million. The math simply doesn't work long-term. Russia launches $20,000 drones. Ukraine shoots them down with million-dollar missiles. Eventually, the interceptor stockpiles run low. And when they do, the drones get through. That's the strategy. Not overwhelming Ukrainian defenses in one night, grinding them down over months until interception becomes economically unsustainable. Both sides walked into negotiations with incompatible red lines. Ukraine. We won't cede all of Donbass without security guarantees and a clear path to reclaiming territory. Russia. We won't accept any framework that doesn't recognize our territorial gains as permanent. There's no compromise position between those stances. The U.S. tried threading the needle. Propose a ceasefire that freezes current lines but doesn't legally recognize Russian annexations. Give Ukraine time to rebuild while keeping the territorial question unresolved. Moscow rejected it outright, because freezing the conflict without recognition means Ukraine can rearm, integrate Western weapons, and potentially reverse Russian gains in 5 or 10 years. Putin isn't interested in temporary ceasefires. He wants permanent victory, and he's willing to keep launching missiles until he gets it. Kushner and Witkoff left Moscow empty-handed. The Miami meetings produced nothing, and within 72 hours, Ukrainian cities were burning. That's not coincidence. That's cause and effect. The timing matters too. December is a critical juncture. Western aid packages are being debated. Political transitions looms in key NATO countries. Putin likely calculated that rejecting talks now, while demonstrating overwhelming firepower, would strengthen his negotiating position for whatever comes next. It's simply strategic patience wrapped in tactical violence. Now, of course, this gets dangerous. War weariness is real on both sides. Russian casualties exceed 300,000 by most Western estimates. Ukraine's losses, though less transparent, are substantial. Entire villages have been depopulated. Economic output has collapsed. Both sides want this over, but neither side is willing to accept terms the other will agree to. That deadlock sort of creates a specific kind of danger. Escalation becomes the only communication tool left. Russia can't force Ukraine to surrender through negotiations, so it uses missiles. Ukraine can't reclaim territory through conventional offensives anymore, so it strikes Russian oil refineries and military infrastructure deep inside Russian borders. Each side escalates, hoping the other breaks first. And in the middle? Civilians in Kyiv, Dnipro, and Lviv watching the skies every night. The December 6th strike was the largest yet, but it won't be the last. Russia has demonstrated both capability and willingness to sustain mass strikes. The drone production lines are running. The missile stockpiles, though depleted compared to 2022, remain substantial. Ukraine's air defenses are holding, but barely. Every major strike degrades them further. Systems get damaged. Interceptors get expended. Replacement timelines stretch into months. Russia launched similar strikes in March 2025, again in June and in October, each time targeting infrastructure, each time pushing Ukraine closer to the edge. Let's be clear about something most analysis glosses over. Russia isn't trying to win militarily anymore, not in the conventional sense. Putin knows the Kremlin can't march into Kyiv. Ukrainian defenses, bolstered by Western weapons and training, have proven too resilient. But Russia doesn't need to win on the battlefield. It needs to win through attrition. Collapse Ukraine's economy. Destroy its infrastructure. Make daily life so unbearable that public support for continuing the war erodes. That's the mind game behind targeting power plants instead of military bases, behind striking railway hubs instead of ammunition depots. Military targets harden Ukraine's resolve. Civilian suffering fractures it. It's brutal. It's arguably illegal under international law. And it's working slowly. Ukrainian GDP has contracted by over 30% since the war began. Millions have fled the country. Reconstruction costs already exceed $400 billion by World Bank estimates. How long can a nation sustain that level of destruction? That's the question Moscow is betting everything on. The psychological dimension matters just as much as the physical damage. Every blackout reminds Ukrainians the war continues. Every missile strike reinforces that normal life remains distant. Every failed negotiation proves the conflict has no clear endpoint. Russia understands this. They're destroying hope. The collapse of these talks matters beyond Ukraine. It signals that the path to ending this war doesn't run through negotiation. At least not yet. U.S. involvement in brokering peace was significant. Sending Kushner and Witkoff indicated genuine effort from Washington to find an off-ramp. Moscow's refusal to engage meaningfully sends a message to the entire international community. Russia believes time is on its side. And strategically, they might be right. Western military aid to Ukraine, while substantial, is politically contentious. U.S. domestic support shows cracks. European unity remains fragile. Every budget cycle becomes a battle over whether to send another aid package. Russia just has to wait. Keep applying pressure. Keep launching missiles. Keep grinding down Ukrainian infrastructure. Eventually, the West's political will to sustain support might erode faster than Ukraine's ability to defend itself. That's the calculation Putin is making. Let's face the uncomfortable truth. If talks failed this dramatically in December 2025, why would 2026 be different? Neither side's fundamental position has changed. Both are still fighting for maximalist outcomes. Compromise remains politically impossible for both Putin and Zelensky, which means the war continues into its fourth year. And as it continues, the risks multiply. Escalation becomes normalized. Mass strikes become routine. The threshold for what constitutes unacceptable keeps rising. We're already at 653 drones in a single night. What's next? 800? 1,000? At some point, the scale of destruction crosses a line where reconstruction becomes impossible, where the state itself begins failing. Ukraine isn't there yet, but it's trending that direction. And Russia shows zero inclination to change course. The December 6th strike wasn't an anomaly. It was the new baseline. 2026 looks even more dangerous because both sides are now committed to strategies that require years, not months, to succeed. Russia's attrition campaign needs sustained pressure. Ukraine's defense requires sustained Western support. Neither is guaranteed. Both are fragile. And somewhere in that fragility lies the possibility of catastrophic escalation nobody wants, but nobody knows how to prevent. So, the Ukraine crisis just exploded. Again. Talks collapsed, cities burned. And the largest missile barrage of the war made clear that diplomacy isn't ending this conflict anytime soon. 653 drones and 51 missiles in one night. That's not a warning anymore. That's the new reality. Russia will keep striking. Ukraine will keep defending. And somewhere in the wreckage of failed negotiations, any hope for peace died alongside the civilians in Kyiv. 2026 is shaping up to be even more dangerous. Because when diplomacy fails this completely, violence becomes the only language left. But what about you? Do you think there's any realistic path to ending this war through negotiation? Or are we watching a conflict that only ends when one side completely collapses? Drop your answer in the comments. Because honestly, watching peace talks fail this spectacularly makes you wonder if anyone actually wants this to end. If you want more breakdowns on geopolitics that actually matters, hit that subscribe button. And if you're interested in how modern warfare is evolving beyond Ukraine, check out our analysis of China's massive war drills near Taiwan. Click right here to watch that next.